Do you think the universe works on fixed rules and nothing ever strays from this directive? Most of us would answer that question with an absolute yes, and I can understand why. When was the last time you saw a stone which was thrown up in the air float away into space? Or have you ever seen the sun set and not see it rise the next day? The answer would be a definite never. But even within this physics-abiding world, there are things which can't be explained and seem impossible. Don't believe me? Here are 11 things that seem impossible. Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more such amazing content. Number 11. Beakless Raven. Donald the Raven somehow damaged his beak severely and lost the ability to eat food as a result. To try and help him, these vets decided to make use of modern-day tech and crafted him a new beak using dental acrylic and a pen to colour over it. It seems the Raven is happy with his newfound beak and started pecking at everything after the procedure was over. At least Donald has a happy story. Number 10. Moose and water. Animals live on a whole different plane of existence than us humans. What we might consider out of the ordinary might seem daily life or mundane to them. Take the moose, for example. We've all seen them before, but how much do we truly know about them? Not much, I'm sure. Did you know that moose are excellent swimmers? Not only that, they can dive deep in search for algae and actually eat it while swimming. You might see them drying themselves off under the sun, but they're equally comfortable swimming in cold water and have no trouble crossing large bodies of water in low temperatures. Bet you didn't know that. Number 9. Epaulette shark. Here's a scenario for you. You're out in the ocean and looking for the next big wave to surf on. You paddle with your surfboard and suddenly at a distance you see an eerie sight. A sight which most surfers or swimmers alike dread the most. It's the dorsal fin of a shark and it's looming in closer with each passing moment. You immediately turn around and try to swim back to shore as fast as possible. You swim and finally take a sigh of relief when you see that you're almost back on the beach. You get up and start running and walk onto the beach and turn around to see the danger you just escaped from. Turns out you're not quite out of the woods yet. The shark is running on land too and making a beeline towards you. Probably didn't expect that, did you? Well, this story might be a slight exaggeration, but there is some truth to it. The epaulette sharks are very much capable of walking on land, but they're nowhere close to being as threatening as you might think. They use their fins to walk across reefs and sand in search of any critter they can find on the way. Once they're on land, they slow down their breathing and heartbeat, allowing them to live outside water for a good 30 minutes at a stretch. Some believe these land-walking sharks separated from their closest ancestors some 9 million years ago as a response to changing sea levels, continental shifts, appearance of reefs. The idea that you gotta do what you gotta do to survive, eh? And don't worry, you can rest easy when you surf the next time. These guys can't hurt you. Number 8. Floating stones. If you ever see a stone floating in water, would it make you question reality? Like when the disciples saw Jesus walking on water. Floating stones are a real thing if you find the right ones. These pumice stones are the kind we're talking about. They can float easily on water, and that's because they're very light for their size and are extremely porous. These volcanic rocks are rich in gas, which is trapped in small pockets within the stone, which ultimately makes it buoyant enough to float on water. The legendary Adam's Bridge, which connects India with Sri Lanka, is mostly comprised of these porous stones and limestones which form the shoal. If you find one sometime, pick it up. It can be an amazing souvenir and also something to trick your friends with. Number 7. Moving stones. From floating to moving, stones seem to have a life of their own. The moving stones found on Racetrack Player in Death Valley have caught people's attention for years. The rocks seem to be always moving and lead a very nomadic life. So how can such huge boulders move without any human interference? The answer might surprise you. On cold and frosty nights, the ground under these boulders freezes up. These thin patches of ice then melt during the day and slowly move the rocks which rest on them. It's said that the boulders can move up to 5 meters per minute. That's quite a lot for something that shouldn't be moving at all. Number 6. Chinese desert forests. Speaking of Racetrack Player in Death Valley, similar desert terrains can be found almost everywhere. While desert is a pretty unique sight to see in itself, it also brings famine and poverty to people who have to live in and around it. China has its fair share of deserts like the Gobi and the Taklamakan deserts, but they have been thinking ahead for almost 50 years now on how to deal with these arid swaths of land. Their solution is to grow entire forests on top. They've learned to reverse desertification. They achieve this through planting trees like massive amounts of them. Over the past few years, they've planted 13 million hectares of trees. Thanks to this proactive reverse desertification approach, a lot of the forests have matured enough to increase rainfall in the region. The forest is growing at a faster rate than the desert, so that's definitely a good sign. Some of these desert regions in China contain massive lakes which contain both salt and freshwater reserves, which are probably fed by underwater springs. The water from these water bodies can also aid in their forestation efforts. As of now, they're making great progress in greening their country. Number 5. The DOUBLETREE of CASORZO. Another rare and impossible sight, but very much real. If you go to the municipality of CASORZO in Italy, you'll be treated to this strange sight. Looks like a freaky tree which belongs in some fictional world. What you're seeing is a mulberry tree with a cherry tree growing out of it. This kind of coexistence is not unheard of, but it is very rare. Epiphytes, as they are called, grow on the surface of other plants and don't leach off of it like a parasite. In this case, the cherry tree is probably deriving water and nutrients through its roots in the ground. So in other words, the cherry tree is just piggyback riding on the mulberry tree. Number 4. Lucy and Maria Aylmer. Check out these two beautiful women. They look like good friends, but their story gets better. They both share the same parents. You might be wondering, maybe the two parents had these two from two different marriages? No, both Lucy and Maria Aylmer have the same mother and father. And what's even crazier, they're twins. Their mother is half Jamaican, while their father is white. They're what you call fraternal twins, which were two separate eggs fertilized by two separate sperm, and sometimes can result in such unique contrasting twins. Number 3. Gynandromorphism. One of the most surprising wonders and sort of a curse in the natural world is what you're looking at now. This northern cardinal seems odd and at the same time beautiful. One side is red and the other is brown. The contrast doesn't just end with its colors. This bird is both male and female. This anomaly is caused at a very early stage of its development when sex chromosomes are distributed incorrectly. The resulting animal will have both the sex chromosomes and can have features of both the sexes in one. This condition is called gynandromorphism. This has also been observed in butterflies, where one side of the wing is in a completely different color from the other. According to a statistic, this phenomenon can only occur in 1 in 10,000 butterflies. Animals inflicted with this condition are generally infertile, which explains why there aren't many of them in the wild. Still, a beautiful thing to see. Number 2. Mike the Headless Chicken. Ever seen the magic trick where the street magician David Blaine walks up to two unsuspecting pedestrians and rips out the head of a chicken? The sight certainly freaked out the bystanders, but don't worry, it was just a trick and David popped the head back on the chicken. What you're seeing now is not a trick. This is the real deal. Mike the Headless Chicken was an unusual phenomenon that happened about 75 years ago. Colorado farmer Lloyd Olson was planning to have supper with his mother-in-law when he went out to bring back a chicken for cooking. The chicken he caught was one named Mike. Lloyd proceeded to decapitate the chicken, and what happened next did not prepare the local farmer or rest of the world for that matter. Mike the chicken was still alive and moving around. Not having a head didn't slow him down one bit. He was even trying to preen himself, peck for food and also crow, all of which unfortunately wasn't possible without his head. So how did this happen? Well, when Lloyd chopped the poor bird's head, he inadvertently missed the jugular vein and also kept the brainstem intact. Most of the chicken's basic functions like breathing, heart rate and reflex actions are controlled by its brainstem alone. So it's not surprising when Mike managed to continue living a more or less normal life after the incident. Seeing this unexpected turn of events, Lloyd the farmer had a great idea. He spread the news about the headless chicken through newspapers and rumors, and soon Mike became a national celebrity and started touring the country. According to some estimates, at the peak of Mike's fame, the family was about to make $48,000 every month in today's money. Sadly, the fame didn't last for long. 18 months after Mike lost his head, he died from choking in the middle of the night. The farmer had mistakenly left the cleaning syringes for Mike at a show from the previous night, and as a result wasn't able to save the chicken. Though Mike died a long time ago, every May the citizens of Fruita, Colorado, where Mike was born, celebrate Mike the Headless Chicken Day in his memory. Number 1. Alligator without an upper jaw. Sometimes you don't lose an entire part of your body like how Mike did, just a small portion of it. When this alligator surfaced in Lake Monroe near Orlando, Florida, onlookers were surprised to notice that his entire upper jaw was missing. The distressed alligator hung around the spot and almost seemed like he was asking for help due to his strange situation. Jolene Davis was one of the onlookers who felt distressed by the whole scene and called up the Game and Wildlife Department. Unfortunately, due to the severity of the alligator's injury, there wasn't much they could do for him but to trap and put him down. Poor fella couldn't even eat the bait the people tried to feed him with. With no upper jaw and teeth, swallowing food is next to impossible. If only they could have 3D printed him an upper jaw. Incredible, right? See, not all that's impossible is impossible. Nature has its workarounds. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash the like button, share and subscribe. Until next time, see ya!